Alright, this is the Smoke Hollow Smoke-Tronix Bluetooth electric smoker, and I'm kind of doing a first run on it this weekend. I just got it out of the box and got it assembled. Assembly was easy. It was just a matter of putting in the trays, putting in the grids, putting a couple screws in the bottom to put the wheels and the feet on it, and in the back there is a nice handle so you can roll it around. And that was pretty much it, and this little guy here to open and close the vents. So I picked up this guy because I decided to try out electric smoking. I've had a gas Smoke Hollow smoker for many years now. I've been using this one. It works great, but it does vary a little bit in the colder weathers because it's, you know, a thin wall, not an insulated wall. And I just felt like I had to babysit it a little too much, more than I wanted, with the gas not holding exactly the way I wanted. So I want something that's going to hold and I can just walk away from, set it for the amount of time I want to set it for, and just run my recipes and come back and have great food. So before I stayed away from electric because people talking about elements and burners going out and stuff, but as I've looked at this again, I find that those elements and stuff, if that happens, are pretty fairly cheaply replaceable, so I'm not too much worried about it. So I looked around, there's a bunch of them, a lower price than this, and this one comes in black if you're looking for it, but I decided to get this one. It's pretty sweet. It does have insulated walls, so it should hold up a little better if I'm smoking in winter or windy or cold conditions. And it does have the adjustable latch, which I like. The other one did not. And so my seal would get loose sometimes. I have to get a screwdriver and try to ratchet that handle down better. This one is pretty easy to adjust to keep this thing sealed up. You know, the reviews on pretty much every smoker with a window tells me that it's not going to be much value to you. The smoke's going to clog up the window after a while. You're not going to really be able to see anyway. So, but this particular model doesn't come without a window, so it's going to be what it is. The other cool things about this smoker is the thermometer for in the meat is built in, so you can actually do some things with that in the electronics where you have alarms go off and stuff. When I had the old one, I had kind of a wireless one that I bought off Amazon and stuck it in there and it would notify me, but now that's features built into this one. It's got the this cool ramp from the side to refill the liquids without having to open the door, and of course the wood chips you can do without opening the door, and the nasty grease tray is built in. So all the things that I used to have to buy things for or be inconvenienced by are built in. So before I'd buy trays and put them in there, and I'd lose one of these grids to be my drip tray all the time with tinfoil buckets and stuff, but now that's built in. Water trays built in, so I'm digging that. What else do I like about this? There's something else here. Well, anyway, so yeah, of course you can pull the chips out and reset them without having to open the door. That's all awesome. The last feature that's awesome is this has built-in cold smoking. So if I was to put this up and pull out the water tray here, you'll see it's got these well, it's got this burner you can see around the side, but there's also a burner right underneath the chip box, another small one, and I believe that's so that you can heat the chips up in kind of a direct way without heating this whole oven up, and it's just going to get smoked. So you can cold smoke on this on a low temperature. Lots of other smokers you have to buy an attachment and hook it to the side and all other stuff. This is built in, so I can just hit cold smoke, hot smoke, it's normal, and then fast smoke, which I know if you guys are like me, a lot of the times I will come up with methods to get my chips smoking faster, and this will do it for you. It's just going to crank the heat out up front, and then you can turn that off and it gets the smoke going faster. So super cool. I'm going to give that a try this weekend, and I'll add it to this video so you guys can see us smoking some meat end to end. See how it goes. One more note here is the cover. I had this cover over this one for the longest time. I just picked that up at Home Depot. It was like one of these big covers that should cover like a green egg or whatever. And with this being a 40-inch smoker, I wasn't sure if it was going to fit, but sure enough, it came right off of there, sat all the way on there, and I'm totally covered. So the Smoke Hollow people, they do have covers for these, but they're out of stock all the time. So Home Depot, this is a nice canvas one that lasts, and you can get that there and it'll cover it. Alright, I had to season this thing, as they call it, because it's brand new, right? So that means basically getting it hot and letting it run for a few hours and getting some smoke running through it. To do that, I decided to use the fast smoke option on this thing, which means I set it up for regular smoking, and then if I wanted to, I can hit fast smoke, and it uses some of that time to heat up the chips really fast. So I kicked that on to get the smoke going, because I want to season this thing to be able to do some salmon in it tonight. And just so you know, the fast smoke, kicked it on. It took about 2 minutes for me to start smelling smoke for the first time, about 5 before it really started getting rocking. So as you can see, it's getting smoky in there now. And if we look around the back of it, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but there's smoke kicking out of that thing pretty good. So the fast smoke works. I don't know if 5 minutes is fast or not compared to other stuff, but that's how that works. Alright, I'm going to smoke me some salmon. I got this nice one from Costco. I cut it up into 2 fillets. I've rubbed it down with some salmon seasoning after I olive oiled it and, you know, washed it, patted it dry, olive oiled it, seasoned it. Doing some limes instead of lemons this time. I made kind of a custom rub for it. A little bit of brown sugar included with some normal fish seasonings and stuff like that. I always like to add a little brown sugar. And we're going to throw these suckers, tinfoil only. I'm going to leave the pan off, tinfoil only, into this guy, who is now preheated, ready to go. And I'm going to use alder wood this time to smoke this salmon. So it should only take about 30-45 minutes, and we'll come back and check on it. So the salmon's rocking and rolling in there pretty good. Alder smoke's up against the windows, you can see. It's kicking out the back, smells really good around here. Put a probe in there to monitor the temperature. I forgot to use the probe, so I stuck that in there. See the front of this thing's flashing with my cook time, my temp time, or actual temp inside, and then the probe temp. It just rotates. It's also going on the Bluetooth on this phone I'm using right now. I can watch it from a distance, but this is going well. Alright, we're about to do some smoked ribs again with my homemade rub in the new smokehouse smoker I got. Grabbed a pack of these wonderful baby back ribs from Costco. Always the best ribs. The backing membrane's already pre-peeled off for you. Really meaty. Best deal for the money out there as far as meat goes. Love Costco's meat. Got all kinds of spices and yummy stuff put together. My rub recipe, if you want it, is about like right there. And in the middle, and then sometimes I'll throw in some extra little fun stuff on top of that, but that's basically the recipe. I get it all in a bowl here, and this is that recipe you just saw was enough for three racks, which is what the Costco pack comes in. You get that all whisked up, and you know, if I end up needing to do more than 3, I'll sometimes supplement and stretch it if I run out with, you know, with this Grill Mate stuff, because it's pretty good also. So I basically, I'm going to coat this with olive oil here. This is my olive oil. And then I also like to put on a little bit of maple syrup to create kind of the sticky coat to put the rub on. So I'm just going to run a, hold on 1 second here. Alright, so I got an assistant here to do the camera for me, because you can't get your nasty hands all over the camera, right? So I'm just going to run a little drizzle of olive oil down these suckers. Just a little bit on each. Doesn't really matter how specially lined up it is. I'm just gonna get it on there. Olive oil all over the place. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna get a little on the other side here. Most important thing is you gotta have your Van Halen on when you're doing this. Makes the ribs turn out awesome. All right. Olive oil top and bottom. Okay, so we're all oiled up. This rub should stick on there just fine. All right, and like I said, just for taste and for a little something different, I like to just put a little strip of maple syrup on there. It's not a whole lot of different than you putting the brown sugar in your rub, right? As far as worrying about sweetness and all that, and it adds a little bit of maple flavoring. Yeah. All right. Cool. So then, really doesn't get any cleaner after this. You just kind of go after it and pack it on. If it done's ribs before, you know how this works. And then for cooking, we'll put it in the oven here in a minute, or the smoker here in the middle. But for cooking, I like to do, some people like to do like a 1-2-3 method or something, or 3-2-1. I just do a 3 and a 1 really. I do 3 hours at 220 in the smoker, so low and slow as you might call it. And then, make sure we leave enough at the bottom of these. And then I put them in a kind of each one in a foil tin when I'm done, and we'll show you that later, with a little bit of apple juice or apple cider vinegar or anything else you want to put in there, maybe a little Jack Daniels. And then 1 hour in the tin foil in the oven at 350 to soften them up real good. And then I just like to get that crispy char on top of all that. So after that, I'll take them out of the foil, put them meat side down on the grill for like 5 minutes, flip them, barbecue sauce them, 5 more minutes to let that sauce kind of gel up for you. Or so awesome, right? All right, here goes the bottoms. And that little last minute on the grill also seems to have an effect of doing some last minute breakdown of the meat and stuff to where it's really soft. So it's just kind of like a flash grill on it. It's enough to get a little more blackness and a little breakdown of the stuff inside of it. All right, these suckers are basically ready to go. There's no pretty way to do this, it's just you do it. Yeah, so then now I'm not going to grill these immediately. I want some of this flavor to soak in. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to kind of just saran wrap this, put it in the fridge for, sometimes I do it overnight, but I'm going to be smoking these today. So I'm going to let them sit there for most of the day while I go out and run some errands and stuff, and then come back and we will get our 3-hour smoke on later on. So catch you then. Put these beautiful ribs in this smoker. I'm going to try ribs for the first time in this electric smoker. The idea being that I don't have to babysit it quite as much, so that's what we're hoping. I got these all rubbed down. They've been marinating in their rub for a while, and the smoker's all heated up and ready to go. I got my SWAT smoker apron outfit on. Shout out to my brother that got this for me. It's awesome. And so we're gonna throw these in. I reduced the racks from 4 down to 2 because that's all I know. These are in and ready to go. I've got the built-in heat checker thermometer thing in here. You know, with ribs it's kind of tricky. They say to make sure you keep the thermometer off the bones. The bones will give you a different temperature reading than the meat will. And at the end of the day, it's really the meat we're trying to track, right? So you got to make sure you get between the bones on the meat tracking. If your internal temperature goes up faster than you expect, it's probably because it's touching a bone. So these are ready to go. The water's in the water pan. Looks a little brown because I mixed some apple cider vinegar with it. Get a little flavor while it's steaming. Smoke should be kicking up here pretty rapidly. I'm letting too much temperature out right now just because I want to show you guys this. But again, they got that cool ramp, so if we run out of water, I can just pour it in the side without opening the door. And down here we got our chips ready to go. We got a mix of mesquite, hickory, and apple wood. And we're gonna let this guy go. Again, I love the handles on this because they are adjustable. It locks the seal down really well, keeps the smoke in. All right, ready to go. The next step, I'm gonna go mix up some sauce to baste these things with later. All right, we're a little bit into this now. You can see the window is like totally fogged up at this point. You can see a little bit of meat through there, but there's no way to see that. It might as well be a glassless, windowless machine, so whatever that's worth to you if you're checking these out. But still, this is it's nice. The wood is just rocking, the smoke's rocking. I did kick the fast smoke on for a bit to get a little more smoke burn going. But yeah, there is one other thing down here. There's an open close switch to let more or less air into the burners, into the wood, to kick more smoke. I like as much smoke as possible, but if it burns faster, that means I'm gonna have to change the wood more often, but that's okay. I want the smoke right now. But it's going pretty well. Like, the smoke is just kicking out of this thing, so going so good so far. All right, so I'm 2 hours into this smoke of the 3, and you know, the point again of buying the electric is that I don't want to babysit it so much, and so most important thing is the smoke gonna keep on kicking even though I'm not here? So I came down to check on it, not seeing any smoke. 2 questions: is it hot enough, and it is keeping its temperature, or did I run out of chips? So pull the chip dish out, which is nice and easy to get to without ruining my temperature, and they're pretty much used up. So I need to either start with more chips and pile this thing through. I mean, I see a couple fresh ones around the edge, but in the middle they're pretty much gone. So that means 2 hours with a good dish full of chips. I have to check back on the chips every 2 hours no matter what anyway. I'm gonna have to experiment with some bigger chunks of wood also. I've seen those last longer in my smoker before. But so I'm gonna swap out the chips on this and keep it smoking. The cool thing about this chip dish is that when you pull it out, the lid stays attached to it kind of in these little hinges. So you can, without burning your fingers, you can just pull this thing out and just pick it right up. And I'm just gonna dump mine over to my bushes here down for fertilizer. And it's ready to go. So I can just throw some more wood chips in here. Sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna fill it up with wood chips and just stick it back in, but I didn't have to worry about lifting up lids or putting lids back or anything like that. I can just pick it up one-handed, not hot, dump it out, fill it up, and stick it back in. So it's pretty convenient from that direction. But yeah, it looks like I'm checking on chips every 2 hours no matter what. I'll have to experiment with that some more. And the cool thing is, once I stick those chips back in there, I can hit that fast smoke button or do it on the app, and it'll just kick off and heat those up real fast to catch me up. So I got those in there now, and hopefully I'll have some good smoke for the rest of the hour that's left on this smoke. All right, smoking's done. We can pull these suckers out now. It's probably still smoky in here, but oh yeah, look at that smoke kicking out of there. Woo! Nice. Turn this off. So it's been smoking really good. We hit our internal temperatures about the same time that we hit our end of smoke time. So I use 2 spatulas typically and just pull these out of here. But they're a little stiff at this point. They don't break apart until we cook them a little longer. This is just the smoking part. So there's one. These look good. 2. 3 racks of ribs. Ooh, nice. All right. I'll have to clean this thing up later. But we're gonna rip upstairs. We're gonna get these things tin-foiled up for their last hour in the oven. Back inside, and we're gonna put the ribs in foil to cook them in the oven at 350 for the last hour to really moisten them up and break down the stuff inside the meat and get it really soft. And to do that, we're just going to take a big sheet of tin foil, the big tin foil. You want the big, wide, long stuff. Don't mess around with the little stuff. It'll leak and leave seams, and just do a big one. And then make yourself kind of a folded spot in the center, about 6 inches wide. Pour a little bit of apple cider down it. Don't need a whole lot. Apple cider vinegar's nice too, to add a little bit of tang to it. And then, again, you don't need very much. And then some of your barbecue sauce that you're going to be using. I like Sweet Baby Ray's. Why mess with a good thing, right? And this will just melt down and become part of that sauce in there. Take your ribs, put them meat side down inside your little tent here, and just wrap this sucker up. And when you seal it up, you want it to be pretty sealed because you want all the steam and the juices to stay inside. And if you really want to mess around, you can throw a little bit of Jack Daniels, or in this case I'm going to put a little Crown Royal in there because it smells a little bit caramely and yummy too. So we're going to put that in there. And it'll all just blend together as it kind of melts and steams up and gets liquidy inside of there. So I don't really have to stir it around or anything. I'm just going to pinch this down so that it's nice and sealed. Come on. All right. And then we're going to stick this in the oven. Whoa, I don't have a seal right there. There we go. Stick this in the oven for 350 with the other two that we got. And that'll go for an hour, and then we'll take a look at them. While the ribs are cooking, I'll show you another thing I do with getting my basting and my sauce ready. Again, I don't always start from scratch most of the time. I just start with a barbecue sauce that's already a pretty good one. Sweet Baby Ray's is always great, but a lot of the times with 3 racks of ribs, I either have a side of sauces for people to put more sauce on their ribs, or I make one rack versus another rack sweeter or spicier. So usually I start with something in the middle like this and just get a good bowl full of it going, of each kind. And then I've got on hand a whole bunch of different hot sauces that I use for making things spicier or not. My brother gave me a gift of a whole bunch of these one time, so if you ever see those little gift packs of hot sauces around, they're great to have for mixing and stuff. I guess it's like jalapeno or habanero or chipotle. I'm gonna put a little cayenne and habanero in one of these, and you just kind of just mix it in and kind of keep testing it until it's the spiciness and the flavor you want. And then just mix it up, and it's ready to baste your ribs with. On the sweet side, I'll get my sauce going, and I need enough to baste with, as well as, again, extra on the side for people to use when they're eating their ribs. So I'll just add a little brown sugar to it if I want a sweeter one. And then, of course, this isn't a rule or anything, so if you want to add different flavors and herbs and stuff, you can do that. I really like this sweet mesquite seasoning you can get at Costco. It goes good on the rubs, it goes good in everything. It's just, if you smell this, you can just see that it's made for smoking and barbecue, and this stuff's awesome. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there and just mix it in. So this white one will be our sweet bowl, and the green one will be our spicy bowl. And we'll be ready to do a couple racks in one and another rack in the other when we're done here. And again, keep the rest on the side for people to put extra on their ribs. All right, they're done, and we're gonna pull them out of the oven now. Take them down to the grill. Whew, hot. It smells so good. Oh, I just spilled juice all over it. My wife's gonna love that. So yeah, when you pull them out, don't tip them, don't end up. The juice will go all over your kitchen. So, mess to clean up there. Let's take them down to the grill. So we're down here by the grill. We got these ribs. Ooh, they smell good. You can see they're upside down right now, and they're hot, so they're gonna be a little hard to work with. But we're gonna take them over here onto the grill. We're gonna put them meat side down. They're all moist from being in the oven and soft, which is fine, but we wanna get a little bit of that grill blackness on them. If we wanted them soft, we could have just baked them, right? And you wanna use like at least 2 spatulas or something at this point, because they're ready to fall apart usually. So we're gonna just set it right on there. And we're gonna do this for all of them. We'll get them grilling. Again, they're hot, 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 hot. They're at 350 degrees or whatever, so wherever the good spot on your grill is that gets things the hottest, that's what you're going for. I preheated this thing up so it was roasting, but this is just like grilling hamburgers. We're gonna get these on there and get them all black and get our wonderful tasting carcinogens all over it. We're only going to give this like 5, 6, 7 minutes or so, and this isn't about cooking them. We're done cooking them at this point. Let me get this tinfoil out of the way. But you can see all the juice that came out of the those packages. That stuff melted down and soaked into that really good. We're going to give them just a few minutes here. And remember the sauces we made earlier? I've got them here ready by the grill. And so again, this is just about blackening up the edges a little bit. And so I'm cranking this on high for all the burners. I'm gonna give it 5-6 minutes, and then I'm gonna take them, baste them, and shut it down one more time and let that base just caramelize on it. And that's what I'm gonna show you here in a minute. We're grilling these suckers. Flames are getting on them a little bit, but you can see underneath of these, they're getting some of that black barbecue goodness, and that's what we wanted. So these are ready to go. I'm going to flip them over. I don't know about your grill, but mine's like most people. I've got a hot spot that always seems to get more heat than the rest of it. Okay, we got our sauces here. I'm only going to do one spicy because not enough people in my family like the spicy stuff, but I'm going to just put that right on there. Put it on real liberally, real juicy. And we got to do this pretty fast because we don't want these bottoms to get flamed up too much. That was the spicy one. And these two will go a little sweeter. Again, just smother it on there. A silicone brush is always the way to go with these things. They just, you know, they don't leave threads and hay crap all over your burgers. They don't break apart. Almost there. All right. Again, this has got to be pretty fast. I don't want these things to dry out, and I don't want the bottoms to burn. So we're just going to give it just enough time in here to caramelize. And this one's a little thinner than the other ones, or a little lighter size, so I'm going to get it out of the hot spot and go. All right, we'll pull them off in the caramelizing in just a second. So we are at the last step here. I turned the burners off just because the flames were getting a little bit more than I wanted, just letting the heat caramelize the sauce. And now I'm ready to pull these suckers off and go and chop them up for eating. Those bones are showing, so the meat retracted really well, obviously during the cooking processes. Again, double spatula these suckers. But if you come over close, you can see we got the smoked ribs, you've got barbecue blackness, and you got the sauce, and then of course, you know, all the smoke is inside under that, plus the rub. So these are going to be like multi-flavored at lots of different complexity levels. And so there's our three. We're going to take it upstairs and we're going to slice them up. We got the ribs back up here in the kitchen. We cut them open. They're looking beautiful inside and out. Got one over here on the plate, like baby back, just meaty and juicy. We got the blackness on them. I'm going to cut another one open here for my daughter because she loves these. She wants the sweet ones, not the spicy ones. So that's for her. It's ready to go. Throw a little more sweet sauce on that. Boom. So we overall review on the smoker. It seems to keep its temperature really well. Lots of convenience features. I don't have any qualms with it except maybe the Bluetooth feature doesn't hold far enough away. So I mean, that's just Bluetooth in general. So I have to get closer to really check on it. So you're still going to need, if you want to check, have a meat probe, and you're going to be far enough away from the grill, you're still going to have an electric meat probe other than the one built in if you plan on walking away from the smoker at any particular point in time further than like 20 feet or something, right? 20, 50 feet. You disconnect and you would lose track of what's going on with your meat, which would be bad because the intent there is that you can just have your phone alert you when, you know, things are done. But other than that, every feature in that thing is wonderful. I have no complaints with it, so looking forward to using it a lot more times. We did salmon this weekend, we did the ribs, and then either tomorrow if I can find the time or next week we're going to try to do chicken wings. So talk to you later. All right, we're here in the kitchen.
How did you make such a big mess?
Sorry, babe.
Do you know how long it's going to take me to clean this up? You think ribs are so wonderful. They're not.